welcome back. Morning, it's Thursday and I'm just heading down sort of South Lakes area to go and have a look at a 420 load and shovel. It's the service. I was told it's a 500-hour service, but when I've seen the hours on it, it's showing 1700, so I think it's probably going to need axle oils changed as well, which will be fun. There's also a couple of little faults that we need to get a look at as well, so it'll probably put best part of the day in. There's a digger that I could see on the way back up if we kind of get finished at a decent time, but there's no panic on that. We can get that tomorrow. So I'll catch you down there. Should be a nice drive. We're going to be down in the Lake District, so it'll be quite nice down there, I think. So I'm at my 420. This is going to need a service. It is going to need axle oils changed. There's a couple of faults with it as well. So the first one is the electric steering for this machine isn't working at all. And on initial inspection, I think that broken wire there is probably the culprit. Another fault is the green seatbelt beacon isn't working, and I think that is the culprit, so nicked as well there. So I think that's going to be fairly straightforward. I'll replace the wiring loom for that, and because that's going to be a warranty job, and this seat belt I'll probably get a fresh clicker for that too. So just a service now. Tell you what, it's another great view from the office today. Don't mind that one bit. Right, let's get this machine serviced. Just after lunch, and I'm going to get a start on servicing it. So I've the engine oil draining, I've got that filter to change, and round on this side this is what we call the pepper pots. I've got these two fuel filters to change, that filter to change, and the pilot brake filter to change. So get those done, and then drop the axle oils, and hopefully that'll be job done. Engine service done then. Something I really don't like about these Scania engines is the colour of the dipstick that they use. It's the same colour as the engine oil, the fresh engine oil that you put back in, so it's really bad to tell when you're up to the mark. It's a terrible thing. But what I find is I drain the engine oil into empty drums, and then I've got a rough idea that, you know, I've got a drum and 3/4 full. I need to put a drum and 3/4 into it, and then I know I'm somewhere near, and that kind of gives you a better judgment of how far up the dipstick you are. So there's a top tip if you're running a Scania engine in a load and shovel and you want to check the engine oil after you've serviced it. That's how I do it. I'm going to change the axle oils and that brake pilot filter, and that'll be the service done. And once I finish that, I'll show you around this shovel, because it's a different machine altogether than what you've seen in previous videos, and I'll show you why that is in a minute or two. I'm just on with filling the axles back up with oil, and I've done the front, and You know, I've got that hand pump that I use on the final drives on the diggers. I've emptied the gear oil out of it and I put the axle oil in and I hand pump it in. And it takes you about 20 minutes to fill the axles with it. It's a slow process, but I just had a brainwave. Why don't I use my oil pump? I normally use this for sucking oil out of hydraulic tanks, and I've modified it slightly. I've drilled and tapped the shaft, and what I can do is get my battery drill, the 13mm socket on, and pump the oil into the axles. I can literally empty a drum in about 20 seconds. Honestly, my geniusness knows no bounds. Right, so what is a CVT? So this is a 420 CVT, and you've seen 420s in the videos previously. CVT stands for continuously variable transmission. The advantages of the CVT are fuel economy mainly. You use a lot less diesel doing the same job as a power shift transmission. Disadvantages are sort of initial buying the machine. Apparently they're a lot more expensive with the CVT transmission than the standard power shift transmission. But it is a fantastic bit of kit to drive. I mean, the transmission is so smooth, there's no gear changes, so it doesn't lurch forward. It just feels like a steady transmission of power to the ground, and apparently this thing will climb mountains, from what the fellow was saying. He reckoned that it was using 80 litres a day of diesel less than a shovel with a power shift transmission. Whether that's right or not, I don't know, but I mean, 80 litres a day is a huge saving, especially with the price of diesel at the minute, and these machines in April moving on to white diesel as well. 80 litres is a big saving. So yeah, that's what a CVT is. Literally, this is my first sort of time I've ever sat in one really and had a go with one. I don't look after loads and loads of shovels. I think I've probably got about 5 or 6 that I look after, and this is the first time I've been to this spot, so yeah, different. So I'm sat here on this hill. The machine is sat in reverse, so with a power shift transmission, my feet are touching the floor, I'm not doing anything. With a power shift transmission, this machine would be running away back down the hill there. But the strange thing about this is it just sort of holds. As I shift into forward, it's not sort of wanting to tear off, and it's not really moving, and as I rev up slightly, the machine picks up without sort of falling back the way. Notice while I've been driving around the yard, once you've sort of set the speed with your foot pedal, the revs sort of die off as well, so I guess that's a big part of the fuel saving, as well as the engine being a smaller engine than your sort of regular 420. Doesn't even sound like the engine's really labouring as well when you're moving. It's a very strange thing to drive. Obviously I've had a bit of a mess around with tractors with vario gearboxes, and it's very similar to those. Just feels different in a loading shovel. What a tremendous day though. Look at that view. Right, I'll park this back up and do my paperwork and get back up the road to Carlisle. Friday, and I've just come across the town here to this dumper. It came in off a hire last night, and the wagon driver could hardly get it on the wagon. It went into some sort of limp mode. and I've come to it this morning. There's an error code on the dash 157-18, and I think that is a low rail pressure fault, so I'll show you what I've found. So obviously Mecalac, we're sort of new to Mecalac. We've only been sort of selling them for 2 or 3 months. When I've been checking all the fuel lines, I've noticed that this fuel pipe here going to the high pressure fuel pump has got a hell of a kink in it. Like, that's almost kinked right over. I'm going to cut all these cable ties and try and route it a bit better, and hopefully that's a simple fix. Right enough, that has cured the problem. So yeah, there's something for us to look out for when I'm PDIing these dumpers. Just make sure this fuel pipe here isn't kinked, or any others for that matter. You can see here where some of the cable ties have been. They've really tightened them cable ties up. So yeah, just something for us to look out for when I'm on PDIing, checking them over. So right, that's a good straightforward job. I'll head back to the yard now. I've got yesterday's oil to get rid of in the waste oil, and then I'm gonna put the trailer on and take some tracks out to a digger and put some tracks on. What a spot to park. If it had been about a foot further over, I could have got round him on that far side. Hey man, there's always something on a Friday. That was hot work. Probably made it hard work for myself, as you saw in that time lapse. I should have put it on the sprocket first, and then tried to get it over the idler rather than the other way around. But yeah, I'm sure everybody's got their own ways of doing it, and we got there in the end. The other side went on a lot quicker once I got it right. Right, I'm gonna chuck this trailer off back at the yard and nip down to Penrith. It's only 2 o'clock, so yeah, I'll nip and have a quick look at this 8.5 tonner. At the yard now, trailer's off. I'll unload that another day. Go and get this next one done. I've just been at this machine when you turn the ignition on, it was saying password error. So anyway, there's a bit of dodgy wiring down the bottom of there, which I've sorted out because it was giving a false feed to the machine controller, and that was making this mess about. And I've isolated it just now because the battery is pretty much dead. But I got it jump started and running. Reset the codes in here, and that's that one done. Just had a phone call though, there's a 160 to go to. Yeah, just a quick little job on that 8.5 tonner. I wasn't sure what it would be, so it was coming up every time you turn the ignition on. It was coming up password error, and it wouldn't let you start the machine. Also, when you turn the ignition off, the buzzer in the cab was continuing to beep, which told me that there was something getting alive that shouldn't have been. Same customer was on a week or so ago inquiring about it because the machine was bad to start, and there was a rework many moons ago now to do with the battery cables on those machines, and yeah, unfortunately it just got one battery cable in the wrong spot, which was then feeding the cab permanently, so that's why the battery was flat, and the sort of buzzer in the cab was going permanently because it was getting alive all the time. So yeah, that was easy sorted, and yeah, I'm heading to a 160 now. I can't remember what he said on the phone, so I was sort of in the middle of that job, but I'll find out in a few minutes. The fault with that machine was the windscreen wiper had a mind of its own, and there was also an engine warning light that kept flashing up on the dash. That was straightforward enough, just a broken wire in the loom and the wiper fault. So there's two fuses for the wiper motor. You got one for the motor itself, the other fuse is for the wiper controller, and the wiper controller fuse is the same fuse that feeds the refueling pump. So the refueling pump has blown the fuse, the wiper doesn't know where to stop, where to park, so it just keeps wiping all day long. Very irritating, especially when you don't need it. So that is that one sorted. Time for the weekend. Right, sorry, I never captured an awful lot in those last two jobs, sort of diagnosing wise. It's just sort of when you're in the heat of the moment and the phone keeps ringing, you just want to sort of get on and on to the next one before the weekend starts. So I will get better at doing it as I kind of continue to do these videos, but the response has been great, and I really appreciate all the comments as well. There's more and more of you sort of getting in touch, so it's much appreciated. So yeah, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. If you've already hit the subscribe button and you've enjoyed the video, give it a little like as well. It all helps. You can catch us over on Instagram as well, Ali's Digger Diary, and yeah, have a good weekend everybody, and I'll see you on Monday morning.